Hey everyone, welcome back to Field Stories. I am Chris, along with Michaela this week, and it's been again a couple weeks since we've been able to get an episode out there. It's been a bit of a challenge the last few months between work schedules for myself and unpredictable internet access and schedules and weather and everything else. And I know you, Mick, have been really busy with work as well, and I guess probably wrapping up the season. And Nick as well is really busy in school and. Really just a little too much on his plate to be able to find time for the show right now. So we've all been really busy, and I guess this is what happens when you build a show around three people with super busy lives. So, but we're back this week and excited to catch up with each other and you as listeners and viewers, and then excited for our guest as well. So Mick, how have you been overall? I guess it's as a Canadian, I only know about Thanksgiving because of the sales and the football. So, but I know it was last Thursday. So, yeah, how you been? How was Thanksgiving and all those other things?
It's good. I mean, when I was younger, I used to celebrate two Thanksgivings because I would celebrate Canadian Thanksgiving too. So, as I've gone older, like further and further away, I don't get to celebrate Canadian Thanksgiving as much. So, but I did go home, and it was quite nice. It was just nice to finally take a break. I realized. Our field, especially, I mean, I hate to say this, but with climate change, like our field season is extending year after year after year. Yeah. So originally, with turtles or any reptile, it probably a good cutoff in the north or northeast would be in October. And now I'm going to be going out next week again. So, and we're finally hitting a good cold streak where a lot of the reptiles will be brood-mating, but we're trying to figure out what birds are those? Sorry.
Oh, those? Yeah, those are caracaras. They're red-throated caracaras.
Oh, yeah. Anyways, very cool. I'm very jealous, but yeah, and so we're just trying to get some our last brumation areas for a lot of our populations that we're serving. Just end of the year, budgets, all the boring stuff. But yeah,
of course.
But getting ready for the next holiday season and looking forward to that. What about you, Chris? How is your busy life?
Yeah, just it's the same. I mean, it's sort of like you but in a different way. It's a mixture of a lot of field work, very intense here. We've got about just over 2 weeks left now till we wrap up this expedition season. So we'll be leaving camp on the 19th of December. So yeah, just over 2 weeks, and it's been amazing. Amazing wildlife, amazing encounters, especially for mammals and herps have been incredible. Birds have been great, bats have been good, but I mean, mammals and herps have been crazy. But also, long days, very hot. You mentioned climate change again. I mean, things just seem to get drier and drier here. So like we had this 10-day stretch where it rained a little bit, finally, and we were like, okay, it's rainy season starting, and then it's just gone right back to what it seems to always do, which is it's gone back to being dry again. So now we haven't really had any significant rain for over 10 days, and which is good for work, but also draining because it's so hot. And obviously, the more important thing for the wildlife, it's a bit rough. I mean, a lot of frogs took the risk to try and breed during that rain, and well, their eggs and their tadpoles are gone because it just dried up. So that's somewhat normal, as anyone who knows amphibian biology knows that is a risk. That's sort of that fine line of when to start breeding for explosive breeding species, but it still kind of highlights the fragility of things if we don't get rain when we're supposed to. So yeah, busy, hot, and also planning a lot for next year and trying to manage all that. So good, busy, but also looking forward to, same as you, to a little bit of break. I'm heading over to England for the holidays for a couple weeks, and then right back at it in January and into meetings, and back to Uganda in February. So good but busy is how I'm doing. So it's a standard theme. So as we said, that's why the episodes have been a little bit delayed. So also I hope it's be good today, but I'm speaking to you right in the middle of the Amazon, as you can tell by the sounds all around, and there's a macaws overhead, and
cool.
Actually, that was a blue-headed parrot. Actually, they just went over. We use Starlink here, so like I said, the only actually good thing that Elon's doing right now. But the thing is, our Starlink's usually very good, but this particular Starlink, it just seems to cut out for no reason between 1 and 4 p.m. and we don't know why. So that's another issue with episodes, because I'm scared to schedule episodes and have no internet. So
no, for
but
sure.
But yeah, hopefully today will be good and be able to not be too distracted by birds and not lose internet and have a good episode with our guest, who is a friend of yours. If you want to quickly introduce your friend who's a guest today, and then we'll get to the episode.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm going to be introducing my friend Matt Patterson on Instagram and Etsy. He's Stone Ridge Art Studios. And Matt and I have been good friends for a couple of years now. He is a wildlife artist with a special affinity for turtles. And so we're going to be continuing on the turtle trend for this second episode. 2 in a row, more turtle people to come. And so, yeah, I'm just really excited. Matt's an amazing person. And I think he kind of sheds light on wildlife art in a different realm where he really just puts himself in the art too, and out in conservation. So I'm excited to have him on and for you to meet him and everyone else.
Awesome. Well, let's go.
All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. And today I am introducing a very good friend of mine, Matt Patterson. Matt and I have been friends for a couple of years now. We met back at the Turtle Survival Alliance or the TSA. And Matt is my no-shoe wearing friend who loves turtles, but also is a professional wildlife artist. And I'm really excited for him to talk about his journey today, where he's been, all the amazing things he's been able to do, the books he's been just recently helping publish by providing a whole bunch of wildlife art. And yeah, why don't you take it away, Matt?
Yeah, well, yeah, thank you. I am a wildlife artist, and I guess even more specifically, I'm a turtle artist, and I'm proud to be a turtle nerd. I've loved animals since I could speak, and probably before that. And I grew up like looking for catching them, and of course drawing them. And my parents have some of my earliest drawings, and they're all turtles and dinosaurs and some fish mixed in too. So my dad was a biology teacher, so he was always introducing me to different animals. So I grew up doing that, and I went to school for art, for illustration, and my wildlife art has kind of given me the opportunity to really research a lot of it and travel. And been in Madagascar. I was in Belize last summer. So yeah. Turtle nerd, turtle artist.
Turtle nerds forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, Matt. Thank you for that. Yeah, I guess the first question I would have, which is sort of a similar question, because we you're the second wildlife artist that we've had on the show, and I think we asked her similar questions. Is I guess how did this? I guess what I'm getting at is a lot of people would have interest in wildlife, and a lot of people would have an interest in drawing, and probably sort of casually drawing wildlife. But, can you explain a bit more about how it came about that you were able to, through obviously passion, skill, and hard work, but how were you able to turn this into what is now a career? Because I'm sure there's a lot of people who have those two interests, but actually making it into careers is an interesting journey, I'm sure. So if you can maybe delve into that a bit deeper, it'd be great.
Well, I guess one thing is I didn't have a plan B. Plan A had to work out. Because there's not many turtle artists out there, right? But I there's no specific moment where I saw a turtle or something and something clicked. I just grew up always drawing and always painting, and I loved animals, and it was just a perfect combination. And I just continued to do it. And I went to school for art, fine art, and then illustration, so that really helped out. And I really just focused in on wildlife. I didn't. I know you interviewed Jay, and she took a special scientific illustration degree. I didn't do that. I grew up with a biology teacher as a dad, so I was always around that stuff. And I just went to school for art and kind of carved out this section. And I travel a lot. Like a lot of my art is based on animals I've seen, and I think that really makes a difference seeing them in the wild, where you can, see how they move and how they blend in. Like, if you put a eastern box turtle, if you're holding it, it's so bright and colorful, right? And you think it never blend in, but if you put it in its habitat, it does. It blends in perfectly. So just observation was a big thing for me, and getting in the field and hands-on.
Yeah, that's awesome. Matt, I know you've published a book with your dad and with Sy. Can you talk a little bit about, some of your publications and the inspiration behind some of those works, artwork?
Yeah. The first book I did illustrated was with my dad. It's called Freshwater Fish of the Northeast, and it has 60, has a dog walking behind me. It has 62 different species of fish in it, and it's kind of like a coffee table guide. And it's a book. A lot of people fish for game fish, right? Here in the Northeast, which is great. I love fishing for those. But along the way, you come across other fish that maybe you weren't necessarily, looking for, trying to catch. And it kind of celebrates all the fish that you can find in the Northeast. So it was a lot of fun. We call them business trips. We would go fishing all the time. We did a lot of ice fishing, fishing in lakes, rivers, streams, stuff like that. And the second book I did was called The Snake and the Salamander, and it's reptiles and amphibians in the Northeast with, I think, 83 species. It's kind of the same lines. It's kind of a coffee table guide. So that was a lot of fun. But my more recent books, they're turtle books. So when did they come out? They both came out a year ago. The Book of Turtles, which you've seen, is I have it right here. Well, here's
I have most of your books. I actually have the fish book on the top.
Yeah. The Book of Turtles. Here it is. But it's a picture book, and it celebrates turtles because it's an animal that everyone can recognize, right? Everyone has a turtle story too, but they're so amazing, and they're full of surprises that people don't know about. I mean, there's turtles that can climb trees. There's, turtles that can sprint 15 miles an hour on land and with necks longer than their bodies. So it goes into amazing turtle facts and abilities. And then we have extreme turtles, like the fastest and the biggest. And we have celebrity turtles. We have a section on 4 turtles. And then we talk about conservation and things people can do and things they cannot do to help turtles. And yeah, that was fun. That was a lot of fun. I did that with Sy Montgomery, and the book's done really well. And then the next one was Of Time and Turtles, which is I illustrated it. I'm also a character in it, and it's a nonfiction narrative. And it's the 3 years Sy and I spent immersed in the world of turtles. So what we did was we volunteered with a turtle rehab. So it was they get turtles that are injured from cars or dogs, dog chews or things like that, fish hook injuries. They also get turtles that are just given up or found that are non-native. And so we worked with them, we followed them, we did all the work with them, we released turtles, we picked up turtles, and then we worked with a nesting program, which you've been to the site, and for that, there's these 2 ladies. One of them is a retired school teacher. The other is a part-time librarian, and they've been leading this team of volunteers for, I think, like 15 years.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. And so over the years, they've protected hundreds of nests, thousands of baby turtles, some really rare, and threatened or endangered turtles are there as well. And another thing we did was sea turtle rescue on Cape Cod. So that happened in, you have a bug after you. That happened in,
Always.
That happened in December in Massachusetts, which is not a time you'd think you'd find reptiles, right? But we actually had a snowstorm the night before, but I told my wife, we had no power in the house. I told her, I have to go look for turtles, and I left. And so that night we found like 5 Kemp's Ridleys that had washed ashore, cold stunned, and we also visited the Turtle Survival Center, the Turtle Survival Alliance. So all that is in these books, and that whole experience is a narrative. So dogs are wrestling right on me here. Hey.
Josie, or is it Rue?
Rue and Josie. But so it's basically our 3 years immersed in the world of turtles and learning about turtles and people who help them. And when I have a new book. Well, we have a new book coming out in a year. I just finished the illustrations, so I'm excited about that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's super cool. Wow. I mean, I have. Maybe I'm gonna be cheeky here, Mick, and I'm gonna ask you two questions quickly in a row because they're both popping up. I guess the first question is related to like why turtles? Like why do you love them so much? I mean, I know it's an easy thing. We could all give reasons, but what is it about turtles that really sort of got your attention and obviously give you such passion? It seems like you started out more of a general wildlife interest, and it's something maybe more or pulled you toward turtles. So what's that? What
Yeah,
sparked that?
why turtles? It's a good question. I get asked that a lot, and I don't really have like a specific moment or anything where I saw one and it clicked. Um, I just always loved them. My dad used to take me out looking for turtles when I was a kid, and some of my earliest memories are turtles. I remember going to Disney World when I was in fifth grade. I had never been to Florida, and we were on a family trip, and we were driving to one of the parks, and there was a gopher tortoise on the side of the road, and we pulled over and watched him graze. And I don't really remember the Disney part of the trip, but I remember the turtle. So I don't know. They're just amazing animals. I mean, they live in the ocean. They live in the rainforest. Desert environments here in the Northeast under the ice, and around over 200 million years. I mean, they're just huge variety. Just I don't know, fascinated with them.
Yeah. No, that's fine. I mean, that's good. It's a good answer.
Yeah.
There. Everybody has reasons we love them. I think everybody loves turtles. I think you'd be hard pressed to find someone who doesn't like them to some extent.
Yeah, you don't get many people who say they don't like turtles. Yeah.
Especially if you grew up around them. I think we're very lucky in North America that we get to be around them a lot. Europeans have like one species, and other parts of the world there's not as many. And we're really fortunate, a lot of us in North America who grew up there, to get to see them. Maybe not as much as we used to, sadly, but still, if we go to the right place, we can usually see them in the summer. So, yeah, I guess my follow-up question then is a little more, more on the, I guess, professional life side is, I mean, obviously you're illustrating for books and some guides you've made. I know with Jay, you mentioned we spoke to her a few months ago. She worked more. She seems to at least work more on like the contract. To be like she's contacted for a job and then given that, and that's kind of her life. And obviously she has other interests, but that's a lot of what she does. And I mean, from your perspective, is that similar? Do you also do contracts for like more scientific illustration or for fundraising illustration, something like that, or are you more focused on projects of your own that you create with partners?
Yeah, I do both. Right now, I'm doing illustrating a poster, scientific illustrations, like 20 species of herbs found in the Northeast, and so I do that kind of stuff. I've done a lot of guides, other kind of illustrations, in the books. I do the books as well. The books right now take up most of my time. I also do fine art, which is kind of what you do on your own. Like you decide what you want to paint. So I do all that. I have the new turtle book coming out in a year, but we just signed the contract for a book on caterpillars. So a little different.
You're gonna be a new entomologist, Matt, instead of a herpetologist.
Yeah, right.
Ignacio to Costa Rica, now telling everyone about caterpillars.
Yeah, I'll point them out.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's going to be the book of turtles, and this is going to be called the Book of Caterpillars. So we're going to do a series on the book of. So we'll pick animals that people are familiar with, but don't really know how incredible they are.
Awesome.
And how important they are.
What I like about your books too, Matt, is that you really do like bring everything to life. So not only, especially if we're looking at like Sy's book of with her words, but not only do her words kind of bring light, but like your pictures really do. And that's what I love about your art. It's like it has emotion to it. It's not just like a picture going, oh, that's a turtle. It's like you can see with Chief, you can see him smiling, you can see the people there, you can feel the emotion in your illustration. I love that about it. So I think it's pretty awesome. But my next question for you is what is the life like, for a wildlife artist? So what is like your day in, day out? How do you start the day, to how you end it? Is it easy? Do you have hard times with it?
It's definitely, sometimes deadlines are hard. They definitely hang over you. For the painting part of my life, I try to treat it like regular work hours. So I'll get up, have coffee, and then I'll start painting and take breaks throughout, but I try to at least paint 8 hours a day. So
wow, that's great.
Yeah, and
God.
Yeah, wow. I love painting, and so I would want to do that if it wasn't my job. But
wow,
I also get out in the field and research things when I can, and when we do have a big project coming up. I've done some field work where I've done illustrations based off that to raise money for conservation groups. So. But yeah, it's
Nice.
I sit down and I paint. I hang out with dogs and I paint.
It sounds like the life. Although I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie, like whenever I try drawing myself, I get way too frustrated, and I think of you, and I'm like, I don't know how you do it. Because, I mean, like, do you ever look at your stuff and go, man, I made a mistake? And what do you do with mistakes, especially with paint? Like, can you erase it? I mean,
Yeah, that's a good
yeah.
question. And there's definitely times where I'm starting a painting and I'm just looking at the board I'm going to draw or paint on, and it's just, overwhelming. I'm like, how am I going to start? Or did I forget how to paint? But I always find once I just start painting, it starts working out. I do mess up sometimes, but acrylics are, you can paint over them, you can fix mistakes. So yeah, I don't really find that happens too often anymore, as much. So
Yeah.
the more you paint, the more you practice, the better you get at it.
Hmm.
Yeah,
The
that's
more,
super cool.
just, yeah.
Yeah, I have to say, I hear you mention 8 hours a day painting, and I would rather spend 8 hours a day like chopping wood. I think I was so bad at drawing and so scared completely out of my mind of how to do any illustrations. I have zero artistic talent, so I'm like always super blown away by people who can create things with their hands. It's like in that way, artistically, it's amazing. So, and that was a great question, Mick. Thank you. I really enjoyed that.
Chopping wood's fun too. I was
Yeah.
didn't get very actually a piece flew up and hit me in the face. So
Watch your
yeah, it's
eyes.
a
You
good
need
thing I
that to
don't
be
have
able to
a.
draw.
I had a really fat lip, so it's gone down for that. So
Uh, as yeah, I've almost lost my left eye 3 times. So watch it. You don't want
yeah,
that to happen,
right.
man. Watch your eyes. Watch your eyes. Yeah, I guess it's this is kind of a bit of a cheap question, but it's also a question I think that I one of us usually asks the guests. Which I'm really curious with you because you're more of the wildlife art side in biology, not like the intensive super scientific project like PhD side, right? So I'm curious what your response to this will be. So we often ask people if you had, say, one animal or maybe one ecosystem, maybe one wild area you want to be in. It could be an area, it could be an ecosystem, it could be an animal, it could be both. Um, if you had like unlimited budget, golden ticket, do whatever you want, forget about carbon footprint, right? It doesn't matter. All of it's just you can go there because it's magic and you can go. Where would you go? What would you do? What would you want to do? What would you want to see? And then maybe would you want to draw that, or is there something different? You want to see something but draw something different? Like what's the dream there for you? I'm curious from your perspective.
One place would be my number one place would be the Amazon, and
Oh well, yeah. Come on
yeah,
down.
I
Easy
know.
enough. That's easy
I
enough.
would love to go there, see it, see the wildlife, do sketches, take notes, and do a series of paintings on that, on my
Yeah,
experiences.
well, I mean, we could talk because that's certainly something we could facilitate. That's not an issue.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm here most of the year, so yeah, we can make that work.
that's the place.
Yeah, cool. Okay, is there anything in particular? Is it? I'm curious. I mean, now I'm super curious because I can really understand this very viscerally, literally, as I look around. Is there
Yeah.
something specific? Is there like a certain group of animals? Is it the whole ecosystem? Like what, or is it all of it? Like, is something that really catches your attention? I'm actually really curious about this question now.
It's really the whole ecosystem. When I was a kid, I saw I don't remember who made it. It was some video on the flooded forest, and it was the Amazon, the rainforest, and I was just fascinated by just the variety of fish and birds and reptiles and the whole thing, and the trees and how thick it is, and yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, I was in Belize last year in the rainforest, and that was really an incredible experience. It's a lot of stuff to see and learn. And that was a turtle trip. We were tagging turtles, but it was fun.
yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and one thing that you would find out if you come or when you come is it's very different too. It's never the same any one part of it. I think that a lot of people have the image that the Amazon's like all one similar thing across the board, and that's so not
hmm
different. Even a few hundred kilometers or miles away, it's like a different world when you go to a new location. So I think you could come once and go somewhere else, and then go somewhere else again, and it would always feel like a new trip. Really,
yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
yeah.
amazing.
Sy always talks about. She did a book, Journey of the Pink Dolphin, and
Mm,
so she was like following them around, and she talks about her time there, and sounds pretty
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, absolutely, for sure.
Yeah, I really want to see one of those pink dolphins. And as you know, Matt, I really want to see the northern river terrapin so badly, even though it's on the. Oh my gosh, that's all I want to see. Not that anyone asked me, but I just want to tell everyone that I actually want to.
The Madagascar, is that the one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I know, they don't really look real.
No.
When people see that illustration I did of that one, the male in his breeding colors. I mean, he looks fake. You know, the yellow eye and the bright red neck and head.
Black head is so crazy.
Yeah.
I'm slowly, Chris, going to turn this podcast actually into a turtle podcast.
I think you've already achieved that sometimes. That's okay. I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not sad about that. That's okay. We all have our little niches. So I'll get some bat or bird or cayman or something person on again soon. Don't worry. Yeah, exactly. And I love turtles, so it's no problem. I'm happy. It's fine.
I don't know if our viewers are, but I'm really happy.
Yeah, well, by now, if they're still watching, they probably like turtles. Let's be honest. So,
all good.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I mean, I guess it's probably time to think about your story, Matt. So I mean, Mick may have an idea of what you're going to talk about today with your story, a field story. But for me, I have no idea because I just met you about 20 minutes ago. So, yeah, I'm certainly curious what perspective you're going to bring with the story and what it's going to be about. So if you're ready and you want to hit us with your story, that would be great.
Yeah. So I guess my field story would be Madagascar. I went to, I think it was 2018. There was those two massive confiscations of, one was a little over 10,000 radiated tortoises. And I think it was 6 months later, it was another 7,000 radiated tortoises. And, you know, the TSA was one of the groups that jumped in to, you know, deal with that situation. And the goal is eventually get them back into the wild. But they had to, you know, do surveys of the sites. And I got to tag along on that for 3 sites. And it was an incredible experience. I mean, just getting to Madagascar was like 33 hours of traveling. Then I got to the capital and I had to fly south to Port Dolphin, on a little plane. And from there, I went, I think it was over 9 hours down, you know, dirt tracks to get to the TCC, which is the Tortoise Conservation Center that is run by the Turtle Survival Alliance. And that's in the Spiny Forest, which is just a whole different world from, you know, anything I've been in or seen. And at the TCC, there was over 8,000 tortoises being kept and cared for and protected to eventually get back into the wild. And so I stayed there my first night, you know, like the heat was like nothing I'd ever experienced. Sounds of insects, you know, was like deafening at times. There was lemurs and chameleons and giant centipedes and millipedes. It was really, and everything has spines in it. So, and the spiny forest really is accurate. My little tent was more of a 1-person tent. It was made more for the Northeast. So it was like a coffin every night. It felt like it was like 150 degrees. And it was hot. Right. Yeah, but my first night, I had a big Madagascan ground boa slide by the front of my tent. So wow. I went out and I saw him. That was so exciting. And then from there, I went out to the field further, and I met up with the team doing the survey. And so we would get up, you know, early in the morning, and we would look for tortoises, mark them, do vegetation surveys, and then we kind of rest in the afternoon when it's really hot because nothing's moving. And then again at the end of the day, and you know, I got to see like the plants are amazing, the animals, the wildlife. It was incredible. I had wild radiated tortoises walking by the front of my tent, you know, just wild ones going by in our site. And so I took notes. I did sketches and, you know, reference photos, and I did a bunch of paintings based off of that whole trip. It was amazing. The wildlife the food was not amazing. Everybody gets sick, and I somehow didn't get sick. But my first night, I got a cold fish that eventually it had gone bad at some point, and I mean the solution is to boil it, right? And it was rough. It was my tent. I just dry heaved it down, and then every site we would go to, they would gift us a goat or sacrifice a goat. I mean, it was bad for the goat, no matter what, and there's no refrigeration. It's just hot. It's just, it's the sun.
Yeah.
It's the desert. And so one day that was the first site I was at. I saw a goat getting led away. And then I found out what happened to him. And his head was hanging in a tree for a couple of days, and there's all these flies around it. And then one day at lunch, I was like, what are we eating? And it was that goat head. They they just kind of like smashed it up and boiled it and put it over rice. It was rough. Yeah. But the wildlife was great. It was amazing. And
worth it.
Constantly like pulling spines out of my legs and stuff. And the dirt is really red, so everything was stained with red. And I met my wife, Erin, on the way back in Amsterdam for a week. And like she brought me clothes. Apparently I looked really bad. Everything was stained. I smelled. But
well, that sounds about right.
Yeah, it was fun. So that's my field.
How long were you there for?
About 3 weeks.
Okay, that's long enough. Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, 3 weeks. I would have done some more sites, but like it's Madagascar. Everything takes a while to get from place to place, and I got hung up at a few spots before I could get out there. But yeah, it was amazing.
Lucky.
Yeah, no, that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's awesome. So, do you know what ended up happening with those tortoises, with the release and putting them back? Or do you know what the outcome was? Or
yeah, they started. I don't have the numbers, but they started releasing them. I think they did the first release last year. Do you know, Mick? Was it?
I think so. I'd have to ask Brett.
Yeah, they started releasing them. I know they did a big release on World Turtle Day, and I think the goal is 5,000 this year.
I think they're doing pretty well, though. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know if I have the numbers, so I don't want to like throw them out. But they've started to do the releases, and they've been going well.
And it seems like they're radio tracking them too.
Yeah, they're doing like the soft releases too, like where they pen them for I don't know how long, but like a half year or a year.
Yeah, it's like 5 months or something.
Something like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really cool.
Oh, yeah, I think it's going good so far, and they're doing a lot of outreach with communities because you don't have like the villages and the people behind it. They're just gonna turn around and take the tortoises again. So there's a lot more than just bringing the turtles, the tortoises there and letting them go.
Were they pretty responsive, like positively responding whenever you visited a village, or was there any tension? Never.
No, there was a positive response. I went to 3 different villages, and some of the locals. I mean, they would stare at me because I'm not super tall, but I'm much taller than a lot of people there, and I'm a foreigner. No, they would always. Sometimes they would want to like come along with us and tag along and help count and be part of it. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was really fun to see that and meet so many locals and.
Yeah. And with the program, are they helping, I guess, offering them like jobs or parts in this restoration?
Yeah, I think that they're doing stuff like that. I think that they've built some schools, kind of give back and give them incentive to protect these tortoises. The older generation, it used to be more of a taboo to even touch a tortoise, and I think the younger generation now has lost some of that. And it's also, people living in poverty, it's hard to, tell them you can't take this tortoise if they can get money for it and convince them. So you got to give them other reasons to want to protect them.
Right.
Show them just how important they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that's really cool. So what was were you like did you do illustrations for the project afterwards, or I'm just curious what your
I've done several illustrations based off my experiences there. I did a limited edition print for Turtle Survival Alliance to raise money for that.
Nice.
I used some of my reference for the Book of Turtles. There's a radiated tortoise in there. That's one of them I met. Same with the spider tortoise. So yeah, did a series of paintings and.
Awesome. Isn't the cover radiated tortoise?
The cover is a star, a Burmese star.
A Burmese star.
They do look similar. A little longer, not as bright.
Yeah.
Yeah, that tortoise on the cover. A lot of tortoises and turtles I painted are ones I've met. So that one is at the Turtle Survival Center. That's a specific individual.
Before we let you go, you should tell them about Chief and
Yeah.
the Chief.
Yeah, that's the new book that will be out in a year. It's going to be a picture book, and it's Fire Chief is a 42-pound snapping turtle, and he's kind of a star in the Time and Turtles too. He's the main. I'd say he's the main character, and he's called Fire Chief because he lived behind a fire station in a fire pond, and he's pretty old, and so the firemen, they knew him, they would see him, and every year he would travel across the road to a different pond to brumate. And when he started, the road was probably a lot smaller, but now it's a really busy, state highway. Mm-hmm. And in 2018, he got hit by a car. And this happened in the fall when he was crossing. And so he dragged himself back to his pond. He was bleeding. He was dragging his legs because his tail and his back legs were paralyzed. And he kind of rolled down the hill back into the pond. And the firemen saw him. And they knew him. And they liked him. They were worried about him. But they were afraid of him, as he's a snapping turtle. And these are people who run into burning buildings to save you. But they were afraid of him. So, but they wanted to help him. They called the Turtle Rescue League, and these two skinny ladies came out, and one of them blind, and they found him and brought him back, and patched him up. And when me and Sy met him, it was during our research, and that was in 2020. And so he had already healed from his injuries, but his back legs weren't working that great. And so we were doing physical therapy with him, and we let him walk around, and he started to move more. And we found out he's like a very gentle, friendly, curious turtle. We can feed him by hand. We can scratch his face. He won't bite us. He loves his neck scratched. He's an impressive snapping turtle. And we started doing work with him, but we couldn't release him back to his pond. His tail isn't that great. Like, he flips over, he can't right himself. But we knew he couldn't be in a tub the whole time. So in 2021, my wife and I got a new house, and one of the first things I did was I dug a pond for him out back. So he lives out back, so he can do wild turtle things, but he's safe. So he's a really great turtle, really friendly, really interesting. So the book's about his life that's coming out. So it starts from when he hatches as an egg all the way, to now.
Wow. Yeah. That's amazing. Okay, well we should have led with that. Then sells the book.
He even at one point had a wheelchair.
That sells the book more than anything. Holy Jesus! Wow.
And now he's in the basement.
Yeah, he comes in. I don't leave him out in the winter. The pond's now super deep, and I worry. So he's in the basement for the winter. And in fact, I just fed him.
He's such a good boy. And yeah, his setup is gorgeous too. It's a really nice natural setup. So it's like the hotel for a snapping turtle. It's awesome.
He's a good guy.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's a great story. I mean, I can't. We can talk about this off screen, but I'm hoping there'll be some photos of him for the Instagram post about this episode, because I definitely want to make sure people can see him.
I have a lot of pictures on my phone. I have like turtles, dog, turtles. Maybe a picture of my wife.
Poor Aaron.
Yeah.
That's great. Awesome. All right. Well, that was great, Matt. Thank you. It was good. It was a pleasure meeting you. I really enjoyed it. And that's awesome. You're doing really great work, and really contributing in a unique way and an important way. So thanks for taking the time to speak to us today.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, tune in next time. Thank you so much, Matt, and I'll probably see you soon. So, all right. Hopefully we'll have you on again soon too.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks.
Ciao. All right. Well, that was awesome. I didn't, I think it's really cool when we have these illustrators or wildlife artists on, because, certainly for myself, I'll speak for myself. It's a different world. As I said, I've got zero artistic talent. So I always find it really interesting to get a different perspective. And so I wasn't sure what to expect. He's your friend, but I never met him. And I have to say, I really enjoyed it. He's pretty adorable, very lovable person. You can tell he comes from a very genuine, heartfelt, passionate place about everything he does, including obviously turtles and other things related to conservation. So really enjoyed it. It was really fun.
Yeah, I know. I love Matt and I love Aaron. They're just good people, and they really, really care about, the environment and specifically turtles, but really any animal. And it's really interesting because I feel that not all wildlife artists can be that much of a jack of trade, where he's like truly like involving himself as much as possible to, get the inspiration. And I think it's just really cool that he's like constantly out in the field, trying to capture every opportunity possible just so he can kind of meet these animals that he is illustrating. And I think that's really amazing. He also has so many rescues. He didn't mention this, but a lot from the Turtle Rescue League, he has a lot of the rescues that he ended up taking over, and he has these beautiful terrarium exhibits. I don't know how to say it, but I don't want to say cages, but like these like beautiful pens for them that they're so well taken care of, and he takes the time to ask people to make sure that he's doing the right thing, and that him and Aaron take such good care of these animals. And it's just really cool just to see that passion, and I just love it when people are passionate about turtles too. So like I said, I'm just gonna slowly turn this into a turtle podcast one by one.
No, it was really good, really fun, and really enjoyed listening to him. And I guess also, his field story was pretty. Sounds like he got quite a rough introduction to field work there in Madagascar. But yeah, I mean, I think if you get to see that much wildlife, it's probably worth it. I mean, it sounds like an amazing place, and certainly one of the top locations in the world for me to want to go to. So nothing he said certainly would make me not want to go. But I can also understand the idea of some kind of a sheep's head that you just rotting sheep's head you cook up. Sounds a lot like what I've heard about Mongolia as well. So some of these places are pretty rough in that way. So
yeah,
awesome.
I don't know. I'm just knowing that the flies are on the head, and if they laid eggs, it makes me a little
extra
like,
protein. Once you
very
cook it,
true.
it's all okay, right? That's what they say.
Yeah,
Once
right.
you cook it, it's fine.
Everybody's like, well, I boiled the fish.
Wow.
No, I definitely that would not. I actually our mutual friend Brett goes every year for the TSA, and so I talked to Brett, and I'm actually hoping to get on the list to go myself. So I know there's a lot of obviously like more precarious situations there, but I think it's worth it overall. It's a really beautiful place, like you said, and I mean that's our field. We deal with this stuff every day, so it's nothing completely new. It's just maybe a little different. But I know Matt is coming out, like he said, with a new book. I think it's about fire chief. So people who are listening, they should listen or read the book of Time and Turtles, and it's by Sy Montgomery, and then Matt illustrated it, and it does talk about the origin story that Matt did touch on about fire chief and what the Turtle Rescue League I think is in New Hampshire. They do a wonderful job in rescuing so many turtles that experience like road mortality most of the time, especially during nesting season. So I'm excited for his new book to come out. I have most of Matt's books, I think, but like I before I knew Matt, I loved his art too. So I have my turtle wall, I call it, and it's all of like Matt's like turtle prints. So you can find those on Etsy, and I think his handle is Stone Ridge Art Studios for anyone who's interested in some beautiful wildlife art. So yeah,
Cool.
it was great.
Yeah, no, I after that story, I think I wouldn't mind that book as well. It sounds great, but yeah, no, it was a great episode. So yeah, well, yeah. What's Christmas? What's Christmas? So yeah, no. Yeah. So that's great. I guess we will leave it there, if I can say it, and we'll wrap it up. And we'll see when the next episode is going to be, as it's been a little bit little busy for everybody lately. So, but hopefully we can get one out in the next couple of weeks, and we will see our viewers and listeners then. So thanks again for tuning in, and talk to you again soon.
Make sure to like, subscribe, and share.
Exactly, yes.
And Z Hard. Love y'all.
No. Okay, turn it off. I quit. Turn it off.